Go live.
And we are live.
We are live. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Podfeet. Good to see you this
I don't
week.
understand why everything's working so well. Yeah, it's nice to have you back, dear.
Thank you. I'll give it some time. It'll fall in a heap.
Probably will. Do you guys think it's interesting how many phrases we start to borrow from each other, like things that's fall over in a heap, that's Bart's?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Well, now was that the official roll call when you gave us a YouTube link? I guess we'll do it. We have Seamus and Kevin and Frank and Mike and Jill and John and Rick and Sandy and Steve and Michael and Alan and I think we saw Rose come in. We've got Kurt. Anybody else? Mr. Ed. Ed might be here. Very good, very good. Don't get knockers in knot. I think it's knickers in a knot. So look. You guys might just think I'm a tech person, but check out what I'm crocheting right now. Look at this gorgeous blanket. Isn't that pretty?
Very pretty. It looks like oatmeal.
It's this big already. It's only this tall. It's got a ways to go, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I just saw a great TikTok. This woman it's called Do They Knit? And she reviews movies based on where people are knitting, and the question is, do they actually know how to knit? And the first one she did was hilarious because it was a bunch of nuns knitting granny squares. Well, granny squares aren't knitted at all; they're crocheted. So these people are sitting there like with knitting needles shoved into what is clearly crocheted material. It's really funny.
Yarn doesn't go through that very easily.
Yeah, she gave them a 1 out of 5 stars because at the end they sewed the granny squares together, and you do have to do that. So anyway, I thought it was really funny. I'll send it to you, Sandy, if you want. That one was really funny. That would get past me. All right. Well, we've done a sound check. We've got things ready. I got the show notes. I say we get started because it's all me talking this time, so we got to get going.
Let's do it.
Oh, you're going to start your first counted cross stitch. Cool.
Oh, we got to see progress on that.
Does amazing cross stitch. Their house is filled with it, and it's just gorgeous. Yeah, that would be fun to see, Kevin. Is it of a train by any chance? I've done some train ones. They're in my grandson Parker's room now. All right. Oh, it's telling me I should save. Let's do that. And yep. And there we go. All right. I'm ready. All right. I'm muting Steve because I can. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, June 5th, 2022, and this is show number 891. Now remember, if you're planning on watching WWDC, the keynote tomorrow, all chat must be at podfeet.com/chat. Anyway, we're going to be there at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Monday when the show starts. Now remember, Steve and I won't be talking over the show. We'll be like everyone else, texting away saying, wait, what price did she say for the new AR goggles? In any case, I hope you can join us along with the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. So, did I lose Steve?
So, it appears the stream dropped. I mean, it was still streaming, but the video dropped.
So I got to disconnect from Meme Live.
But you're back. The stream is still going, but at a degraded rate.
Great. That's awesome.
Not sure what happened there.
Can you grab a log file for our little friend? Okay, but did you guys keep you guys can still hear me in the chat? And looks like I can do a chapter mark. All right. I'm going to keep moving, Steve. Nope, it's not working. All right, well, we'll give it a timeout over here. I don't know why that, because I did it wrong. Jeez. It's like every week I got to remember. Uh-oh. I got to remember what I did. Now do it. I keep forgetting to add the chapter marks first. Nope, that's not doing it. What's wrong? Nope. All right. I don't know why that's not working, but let's just deal with it for now. Well, copy this. And maybe I just confused it because I did it wrong the first time. Let's just hope. All right. Now I'm going to open up. Let's see. Keep these over here. And if I open up Chit Chat. All right. Okay, muting Steve. This week's episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond was another great crossover episode with Bodie Grimm of the Kilowatt Podcast. He's joined me before to talk about EVs, but this time we're actually going to talk about not just any EV. We get to talk to Chris Ashley of the SMR Podcast and Barbecue and Tech about his brand new Ford F-150 Lightning electric vehicle. We catch Chris on the very delivery day of his new hotness, and he's one of the first people to actually get the F-150 Lightning. Chris put his $100 in the ring over a year ago and bought the Lightning in the Laredo trim, essentially sight unseen. He is besotted with the vehicle, and from what he has told us, we can see why. We start out with a big tease, talking about the work Chris had to do to be approved to install a charger in his townhouse and what size battery he chose, but eventually we get to talk about what it feels like to drive with and without regenerative braking, also known as one-pedal driving. We talk about how well CarPlay works. It's over Bluetooth, so he doesn't have to plug in. We talk about what information he's got on the instrument panel and a lot about the glory that is heated and cooled seats. I didn't understand cooled seats, but apparently in places like where Bodie lives in Arizona, that's a really important feature. Bodie and Chris talk about how to remote start the car, which was a baffling subject for a California-bred woman. We don't do that, really. No reason for it. And we even discuss whether Chris will fit in the frunk, also known as the front trunk. It's a very fun and informative conversation I know you're going to enjoy. And also be sure to check out the Kilowatt Podcast, the SMR Podcast, and Barbecue and Tech Podcast to have even more fun with these awesome gentlemen. You can find this episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond in your podcatcher of choice, number 731. Look for Bodie Grimm with Chris Ashley, Ford F-150 Lightning EV. All right. Where do you see a typo, Alan? Doesn't count to say typo if you don't tell me where it is. All righty. Next. Okay. Oh, this one is not going to have a chapter mark, but I'm good. Or, well, it can have a chapter mark, but it's not going to be. There's no link.
Might as well put a chapter mark in.
Yeah. But remember to.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's saying Allison made a boo-boo, but you got to tell me where it is. Doesn't count. Ed, you want to tell me? And Kevin messaged. What are you? Oh, it's Lariat? I thought he was saying Laredo all that time. Are you sure? That's not a boo-boo or a typo. That's, I thought, well, I guess it's a, you're positive. Huh. Well, crud, where did I say that?
If you want, I can go find it.
Well, no, I can fix it in there, but it's in the audio.
Oh, I won't be fixing that.
We'll do something funny. We'll do something funny. So I got to give Kevin credit, huh? So Kevin was the first one to say it, right? Okay. All right. Yeah. Don't fix it there, Steve. Oh yeah, go fix it. It's in the Chit Chat episode. In the explanation. All right. Wait, this just in. I've been corrected by the live chat room by Kevin in particular, telling me that it's the Lariat trim, not the Laredo trim. I apologize for any confusion I may have caused. That's way easier than re-recording. Plus, it's funny. It's funny right there. All right.
Well, and it shows the value of the live show, or alert NosillaCastaways.
Exactly. All right.
Okay, fixed.
Muting Steve. In a future episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond, hopefully the one next week on June 11th, security enthusiast Bart Bouchatz would like to open up the floor to answer your security questions. Think of it as an Ask Me Anything, specifically about security. This is your chance to ask the dumb questions that have been bothering you for a long time. These are the questions you think everyone else knows the answers to, but I guarantee you, we don't all know the answers to the questions. While Bart and I tend to talk primarily about Apple products, your security questions can be much broader than that. Maybe you have a question about opening ports on your router to access your Plex library outside of your home network. Maybe you want to know how often to apply patches to your Windows computer and how to tell when it's no longer getting patches. Maybe you want advice on how to talk to your brother, who you know is not as secure as he could be, but he hasn't listened to your advice in the past. Maybe you want to know why a dedicated password manager is better than using the password management built into modern browsers like Microsoft Edge and Firefox. Maybe you've been hearing a security acronym or jargon and you don't know what it means. If you'd like to be referenced by name when you send in your question, please tell us how you'd like to be addressed. For example, Stephen from Canada asks. Anyway, if you don't tell us how you'd like to be addressed, we will assume that you would prefer to be anonymous. The sooner your question gets to us, the more likely it is to be answered because Bart will have more time to formulate his answer. If we get enough questions, we'll be recording the answers on the show scheduled for 11 June 2022, like I said. If we get too many questions to answer in one session, we'll do another show later on. Please send your questions to allison@podfeet.com and I'll share them with Bart. We're looking forward to hearing your questions. Mr. Ed already sent one in. I don't think Mr. Ed said in his email how he'd like to be addressed, though, so I'm going to assume
Mr. Ed
that he is. No, I said we're going to assume. If you don't tell us, we're going to assume that it is. You don't want to be addressed. You want to be anonymous. Said. I'm not going to answer questions about Kardashians, Alan. That's not in the subject at all. Okay. Muting Steve. In last week's show, I gave you a marathon talk about how Consumer Reports had evaluated a lot of VPN services and how they narrowed it down to 4 recommendations. I then walked you through how I made my decision to choose PIA, Private Internet Access, as my VPN. I missed something pretty major, and I have to say, I slapped my forehead when Steve Davidson pointed out what I forgot to do. Remember, one of my very important decision criterion was whether there was any kind of a family plan? While I asked that question of some other candidates, I never asked the folks at PIA. Luckily, Steve did. He contacted PIA customer support through text, and he asked them whether he and his wife could share an account. PIA answered, "Hello, yes, you can share your login information with your wife to access VPN." He even captured a screenshot of his conversation to prove it. I've included that in the show notes for you to see as well. Remember that PIA is $12 if you buy month-to-month for 5 devices and significantly cheaper if you get one of their annual plans. I'm not quoting exact pricing for the annual plans because they're still fixing the pricing pages, but it gets as low as $2 a month. Now, here's the bad news, at least for me. I read Steve Davidson's email after Steve and I each bought 2-year plans. Oh well, if you haven't purchased PIA yet, at least you know that you can share your plan. Thank you so much, Steve, for bringing this to all of our attention. I also want to thank the 14 people who have already used my PIA referral link to sign up. After they cross the 30-day threshold of paying for PIA, they get a free 30 days, and so do I. That means I might get an entire year. How cool is that? If you'd like to use it too, look at the bottom of your podcatcher to find the link to sign up for PIA with my referral link. And one more thing, if you tried PIA on an iPad and you were annoyed, like Steve Davidson and I were both annoyed, to find out that it only works in portrait mode, I have a very easy fix for that. It turns out it's only the initial login screen that's in portrait mode. So tap the login and it's going to stay in portrait mode. But as soon as you're logged in, rotate the iPad to portrait and back to landscape, and then it will work in landscape mode like nature intended. All right.
So I tried your referral link,
Mm-hmm.
and it took me to what appears to be the regular PIA sign-up page with no referral information that I can see.
You don't need to.
Oh,
You don't
okay.
need to. It works.
Okay. It's
I
not
know
clear
it
how.
works because, oh, good, Rick did. 14 people have done it.
Cool.
So, Kurt, take a look at what Tunnel Bear in the Consumer Reports thing and see how you feel about it. I don't know whether it did, pretty well or pretty poorly. I don't remember because, like I said, they did 16 of them. So, anyway, just my recommendation. Okay. I have a new
Tesla.
toy. What's that?
Tesla's having a little, well, she needs some breathe right strips right now.
I had to throw her out. She was snoring. All right. All right, here we go. Oh, did I? No, I didn't chapter mark, did I? Chapter. Okay, let's see if I can do the chapter mark yet. See if I crack the code on how this is done. Okay. Press a button, heard the click, copy link, heard the second one, and it didn't work. What makes it work some days? Do not know. I do not know. Okay. It's fiddly. All right. Wait, Joe, you're saying you rarely use it. Why? I would think you would use it all the time because you travel a lot. All right. Steve is pre-muted, ready to go. When I buy a new phone, I carefully peruse all of the color options and I find the one that most delights me. I open up my new Precious and I revel at the glory. For a day or two, I try going without a case so that I can enjoy the look and feel of my wonderful new device. But I end up being so stressed out about dropping it and cracking it or scuffing it that I end up slapping a case on it and moving on. The joy of a new phone is often how thin it is, so I don't like big bulky cases. I also really want to enjoy the color of my case, so I go for clear cases. Now, I'm always tempted by Apple's phone cases, but I got burned way too many times with them falling apart in less than a year and Apple not honoring their 1-year warranty. Kaylee turned me onto a company called CaseCoo that makes a nice clear case for an affordable price of around $20. I bought one for my iPhone 13 Pro, and it's been a great case. I've dropped my phone a number of times from crackable distances to tile, and I have no marks and no cracks on my screen, so $20 for the win. The one thing it doesn't have, though, is a MagSafe ring. While my phone will charge over MagSafe even with the case on, I'm sure there's a great deal of loss with that additional air gap. It also means that to use MagSafe devices like my Moment magnetic tripod, I have to take my case off because the magnet isn't strong enough to go through the plastic case. Well, I was bored the other day, and I decided to look for a new case that would give me MagSafe, but not for Apple's outrageous and unsupported prices. At first, I started looking at cute ones with psychedelic colors or pretty pastels, but I gravitated right back to the clear cases so I could see the beautiful Sierra blue of my iPhone. I found a clear case from KimGuard that for the same $20 as my CaseCoo had several similarities and big advantages. First of all, it is compatible with MagSafe. It has the same little bubbles in the rubbery plastic on the corners that has saved my phone from cracks with the CaseCoo. It has the same easy-to-push button covers, and I can easily access the mute switch with my fingernail. At this point, I'm sure you're yawning at this review since it's basically table stakes for any of the 2.3 million cases available for an iPhone. But before you hit that skip chapter button, what made this $20 case jump out at me is that for that price, it comes with a MagSafe compatible wallet. While the case is clear, the wallet can come in navy blue to match my phone, but you could also choose from black, brown, green, orange, pink, purple, red, rose pink, silver, or yellow. The wallet is advertised as being able to carry 2 to 3 cards tops. The KimGuard Clear Case with MagSafe compatible wallet is available for the iPhone 13, 13 Pro, 13 Pro Max, as well as the 12 Pro Max. Now, I've never had a wallet case before, and since this one would be purely optional, I decided to give it a try. My current wallet is a tiny sleeve about as small as a wallet can be, but I end up carrying my whole purse around just to make sure I have that little tiny wallet with me. I decided that my driver's license and Apple Card would be the two things I'd always want with me. I didn't try to get the wallet to hold 3 cards because that just means they'd be impossible to take out. The KimCard wallet sticks very securely to the back of the KimCard magnetic case. I am not worried at all that it would be easily knocked off, unlike the early reviews I read about Apple's MagSafe wallet. In fact, I have to kind of pry it off the back of my case with my fingernail under it, which I think is exactly how strong you want it to be. Now, I did have Steve try it in his back pocket, and a lot of men with pockets have complained that when they pull their phone out, the MagSafe wallet disconnects. And it did for Steve using his jeans. But guess what? I don't have pockets, so this is not a problem for me. It's very strong to me. I think it's the seam on jeans, on the pocket of the jeans that grabs the little edge and pulls it off. Right, where was I? I got too excited. I went off rogue there.
Yeah, it was all that talk about jeans.
Yeah. Okay. One of the secondary reasons I was interested in a MagSafe compatible wallet was to offload some cards from my tiny wallet. I keep revisiting whether I really have to carry as many as I do, but it's just filled enough that it's pretty hard to get any of them out. My hope was that the MagSafe wallet would be easier for the 2 I need often and make everything else in my regular wallet easier to get out. And yes, I can hear you yelling into your device, "Why don't you just get yourself a full-size wallet, you fool?" I'll tell you why. Because I simply don't like carrying heavy things. Steve's grandmother was having terrible shoulder pain, and her doctor advised her, rather than pursuing surgery or medications, just get a smaller purse so she wouldn't carry so much stuff. It totally solved her shoulder pain. Ever since she told me that, and it was quite a long time ago, I've been carrying the smallest purse that will just carry my bare essentials, and I minimize my wallet as part of that exercise. All that said, getting the 2 cards out of the KimCard wallet isn't trivial. You definitely can't grab the cards from the top, even with fingernails. Instead, they have an open slot on the back that allows you to provide some friction to the back of the innermost card to get it to slide up enough that you can then grab it from the top. It works, but it's not instant access. I imagine that like getting a new pair of shoes, it'll loosen up after a bit so it's easier. Like the magnetic connection, you don't want it too loose, so tighter is definitely a better option. I've kept using it for quite a few days now, and sure enough, it did loosen up, but they definitely cannot fall out. I've only been using the KimCard case and wallet for a few days, like I said, but I do have some observations. If you choose to use a MagSafe compatible wallet, you do have to take it off a lot. I have to take it off to charge in my Qi. Okay. Take it off a lot. Water break. And nobody wants to see that, Kevin. I have to take it off to charge in my Qi easel stand or with my MagSafe charging puck. I have to take it off when I get into my car because I have a natural place to rest my phone that's also a Qi charging stand. I have to take it off to get the credit cards off. Now, none of these actions is particularly difficult, but it could be a problem on the flip side. What if I get out of my car and I forget to grab the wallet and put it back on? In fact, where do I put the wallet while the phone is charging in the car? Maybe in a cup holder if I'm not using both of them, maybe on the seat next to me. Both seem pretty easy places to miss when getting out of the car. When I go to leave the house and take my phone off the charging stand there, what's to remind me to grab the wallet and slap it back on? It's more visible on the counter than it would be in the car, but that's also messy on the counter, and we're all trying to reduce the clutter caused by the devices we have to charge. I'm certain that I would eventually train myself to slap on the wallet as part of the operation of picking it up, but that's because I'm very good at developing habits like that. If you're the kind of person who finds every day is a new adventure in finding your stuff when you leave the house, like somebody I know, this might be problematic. On the other hand, maybe a magnetic wallet is just what you need to make sure you don't forget the darn thing. This last week, I gave my new MagSafe compatible wallet a test drive. I went on my big daily excitement of picking up coffee. I only needed the wallet because California doesn't yet have a digital ID system, and my Apple Card, I should say, is really just a backup in case Apple Pay doesn't work. But hey, I only had to carry one thing to leave the house, and it wasn't my purse. But then I realized COVID cases are back up on the rise in LA and we've got a trip planned soon. So I grabbed an N95 mask. Then I realized, it's bright and sunny out. So in addition to my regular glasses, I need to carry my prescription sunglasses. At this point, I couldn't help but think about how many times I've made fun of Steve, telling him that he needs a purse when I see him struggling to hold a pile of stuff in his hands when he gets out of the car. I'm not abandoning the idea of using a magnetic wallet for some occasions, but I'll definitely think about how much I'll have to carry in my hands if I do use it. If you already don't carry a purse and have been interested in a MagSafe wallet but don't want to pay the $59 for just the wallet on Apple's leather offering, you might really like the clear case from KimGuard that comes with the magnetic wallet for only $20. Heck, for that price, even if you already have a MagSafe case you like, the MagSafe compatible wallet is still a great deal. Check out the non-affiliate link in the show notes to the KimGuard clear case for all iPhone 13 and iPhone 12 Max over on Amazon.
Boom.
Boom. I think I found a typo. Even if... Can you look at the last paragraph in that article? The last sentence I said, even if have...
Yeah. You want a you have?
I should say even if you have. Yes.
Got it.
Thank you. All right. You like your MagSafe wallet? Would you have liked it better if you'd only paid $20 for it? That's what excited me. All right, where am I next? Oh, support the show. Pledge break. Okay. Now, why isn't this working? Let's see. Let me try it with a keystroke. Okay. Right click, copy link, copy. You know, Mike, when it doesn't work, I hear the audio beep, but it's distorted. It goes like something went wrong when I tried to do it. Oh, but you know what? For the crying out loud, I forgot to put the chapter mark in that time. That's why that didn't work. Okay, try it one more time. Okay, right click, copy link, copy. Nope, it's just beeping at me. Don't know why. Well, oh, shoot. Now it just did it and ran backwards. It did that backwards thing. Ugh. Nuts. Okay. Wait, what is that? I have to take it off to charge in my cheap iPhone 12 Max over on Amazon. That's weird. Where did that come from? Okay, something strange just happened. Did I just lose anything? Nope. That is very strange. Okay. Save. Create a chapter. Okay. Let's see. Okay, right click, copy link, copy. I'm going to sit and wait. Nope, it's doing that thing where it deletes it. We figured out what that was, didn't we, Mike? Is Mike still here? I have a shortcut that maximizes apps and if Safari Recent does not launch in time. Is macro running? Yeah, it starts running, but it oh, is it currently running is what you're asking? Where would that be? I don't see it running. See the keyboard maestro. Yeah, no, I don't see it. Okay, make sure that's correct here. And iPhone 12 Max over on Amazon. Yeah, that's what it feels like, but I don't know. The fact that it keeps going. All right, I got to keep recording. I got a lot more to go. Speed up. Quit fooling around. This has been a very good week for people supporting the shows we do here at the Podfeed Podcast. We have a new patron named Scott Kelsey. This wonderful gentleman went to podfeed.com/Patreon and he signed up to pledge a dollar amount that was right for him and showed the appreciation he has for the knowledge he gains and the entertainment he receives. Not to be outdone, existing patron Graham Kelly increased his pledge. In a moment of delightful comedy, Martin Stein sent me a note explaining in distress that his credit card had expired on Patreon, but they had corrected the issue and he hoped this would put him back in my good graces. His message came just in time because, I was about to forward the issue to our NosillaCastaways membership card department to begin the revocation procedures, but luckily we didn't have to go that far. Now, do you guys remember me singing the praises of Bill Reveal, the man nearly solely responsible for the speed increase of Podfeet.com? He worked tirelessly with me for hours and hours, moving and cleaning my database of those pesky encoding problems and rebuilding Podfeet.com from scratch. Well, do you know what that guy just did? He sent me a one-time donation via podfeet.com/PayPal. I couldn't believe it. He's got credit in it all the way back for like a decade, and then he does a fool thing like that. Of course, I graciously accepted his donation. Thank you to all of you who help support the shows that we do at the Podfeet Podcast. Checking under cancel macros. Oh, you can cancel them. Oh, that's cool. Let me see. Cancel. It doesn't show anything running. It's a good sign, right? Let's give it a try one more time. Okay, here we go. Maybe you guys can see something I'm doing here. Let's see. I could put in the thing first. Okay. And then...
And it's the right chapter mark type?
Yeah. Copy link. Copy. And there, it just went up one and deleted the previous one.
Huh.
Oh, man, we've got worse problems. I've lost some. That says 653. I'm already at 16. Nuts. I'm going to have to go back and recreate them, guys. Where did they go? So, ask me anything. Update on PIA. What did I do after that? Okay, there's one. What was this? This has been a very good... Well, that's the pledge break. So I just lost the pledge break.
I think MagSafe compatible case is next, right?
No, I got... Oh, God, I don't know what's going on. Nuts. Maybe it was supposed to create the chapter mark. Now I can't remember. All right, let's... okay, so we've got the chit-chat one. And then... This is still chit-chat? Wait, this just in? Yeah, that was that. Okay. There shouldn't be a gap here. Get rid of that. I may have caused. Okay, in a future... Ask me anything. All right. And then update on PAA. That's right, I think. In last week's show, I gave you a marathon talk about how consumer... Okay. And then, let's see if I go there. It should be at 652. Okay, see if that's right. When I buy a new phone... Okay. So the only one we need to do is add... Okay, is this it? One of the secondary reasons I was interested in a MagSafe Okay. Wait. No, that's not it. Where's MagSafe start? No, that is the MagSafe one. Okay. All right.
You just have it in two parts.
Why does it say 6? Oh, it did start at 652. Okay.
I think you stopped and started recording again, right?
Okay, yeah, that's it. I have to take it off to charge. Yeah, and there's
so 3 times.
Yeah. Okay, so this one, this has been a... Okay, so that's support the show. Maybe it's because I've got a marker there. Okay, so you're saying it should create the chapter mark. Copy link.
Tesla.
Copy. And that worked.
So what did you do
the
differently?
Chapter mark is what was breaking it. But it wasn't working originally, so that's why I started creating the chapter mark. Somebody remind me before we start every time that I don't have to create the chapter mark. Can somebody be in charge of remembering that? The warranty is expired. Oh, I thought you were talking about the warranty on the work you did for me here. All right, let's try another one. Okay. All right. Right click, copy link. Copy. Whew. It worked. It's almost like if just Mike pays attention, I'm good. Okay. So now I need daily life thousands notifications. Oh man. 6:35. I got a ways to go. Speed up, speed up, speed up. Quit fooling around. I should probably save. Okay. Muting Steve. I remember going to my son Kyle's house right after they moved in and noticing that every time the back door opened, I'd hear this very gentle beep boop. It was his alarm system letting him know that the door sensor had been triggered. I also remember thinking, that would drive me nuts. But you know what, over time, I've actually embraced the life of notifications. I glory in all that situational awareness. I am also retired with nothing better to do. Let's take a trip through a typical day to see what I mean. Steve and I both work out first thing in the morning. Every other day, I walk or run, and every other day, I do a strength workout with Sam Sanchez on Apple Fitness Plus. Steve does the opposite, lifting weights when I'm outdoors and running when I'm inside doing strength training. When Steve leaves the house, he drives out the garage with his car. The MyQ garage door opener sends me a notification that Steve has left the building. This starts the countdown clock for when I need to be done working out so that I'll be ready when he brings me my coffee. Even though the MyQ app is keeping me up to date on the status of my garage door, the Home app feels left out with nothing to do, so it sends me notifications every time the garage door opens and closes as well. I like to work out for at least 40 minutes, but Fitness Plus comes in 10-minute, 20-minute, and 30-minute increments. To get my 40 minutes, I do 2 20-minute strengths with Sam, which leaves me in a sweaty heap at the end from doing squats and weights and push-ups. It's awesome. I initiate the workout from the Apple TV, which triggers a notification to my watch to agree that I'm ready to start the workout. Halfway through my second 20-minute strength with Sam, I get a notification on my watch that I've completed the minimum 30-minute exercise for the day. Now, for someone who usually hits something closer to 90 minutes of exercise per day, I find the 30-minute notification kind of adorable. Now, I usually finish my Fitness Plus session before Steve gets back home, and I could obsessively watch him on Find My to see if he's done with his run yet and on his way back with my coffee, but Steve found a more accurate way to track each other. We both drive Teslas, and the Tesla app on our phones shows the exact geolocation of the cars at all times. I can even tell which direction his car is pointed when his door or hatch is open, and it updates very smoothly instead of the sudden location jumps that you get from Find My. Sadly, I don't get any kind of notifications of his movement in the car, and I have to just obsessively watch the screen. When he comes home, if I don't hear the garage door, I get the MyQ notification that the garage door is opened again on my phone. If I miss that, our August lock has proximity detector for our phones over Bluetooth, so the front door will also unlock when he comes home and send me a notification that it has unlocked. By this time, it's our dog Tessa my job to be waiting at the door to welcome him home with great fanfare. After we reheat the coffee that's already 180 degrees, Steve and Tessa go out in the backyard so Steve can check out his plants and citrus trees and, most importantly, check on any caterpillars that might be thinking about becoming butterflies. This time is also Tessa's best opportunity to vigorously chase any squirrel who has foolishly ventured into the yard. When Steve opens the back door to go out, our Ring alarm system will trigger a notification on my phone telling me that the sliding glass door has been opened. Makes me happy because I know Steve and Tessa enjoy their time during this morning ritual. As Steve moves around in the backyard, eventually one of our wise outdoor cams will notice the movement and I'll get a notification that there might be some fun video to watch. While I sip my coffee, I usually work on writing for the podcast or doing research for the shows, or if I'm lucky, I've scraped enough time together to do some programming. While my first few hours of the day are really active, I become completely sedentary at this point. Invariably, my Apple Watch will tell me to stand up. I'll dismiss the notification and usually say out loud, in a minute. And then a few minutes later, it'll do it again. But of course, it hasn't been a few minutes. It's been an entire hour, and I still haven't stood up. By this time, I will obey the Apple Watch's nagging about standing up because it's time for lunch. While I'm making lunch, if it's a Thursday, I'll get a notification on my watch from Apple TV that says a new episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds is out. Thursdays are happy days. We sit down to eat our lunch, and about halfway through, both Steve and I will look at our watches at the same time. At this point, we have both just received a notification from the fitness app that someone across the pond has just finished a bike ride. After lunch, I go back to my studio to work some more on the podcast. Some might suggest that it takes me so long to write my articles because I keep notifications turned on for Telegram. Well, I need to know instantly if Stephen Getz in Canada wants to tell me something about Formula One car racing, or maybe Pat Dengler has found a cool new app or device, or maybe Lindsay the daughter has watched one of the funny TikToks I sent her in the morning and she wants to tell me that she enjoyed it. Now, a lot of my Telegram notifications are actually from Steve because we're far too lazy to get up and walk from one computer room to the next to tell each other something. See why my Apple Watch gets so annoyed with me about not standing up? Well, around 3 p.m. or so, Tessa comes into my room and lays her head in my lap. I tell her soon, and eventually those puppy dog eyes convince me it's time to go for my second exercise of the day, and that's walking her. Now, when we start out, we have a discussion about whether we're going to go on a long 3 to 4 mile walk with hills like I want to, or whether we're going to walk just the 4 blocks to where she likes to hunt for gophers. On days I do Fitness Plus, I need miles, so we usually compromise and go on a relatively flat 3-mile walk to the baseball park where I let her hunt lizards. When Tessa and I leave, I get a lot of notifications. As soon as I'm stepping out the door, I get a notification that the August lock is open, followed very closely by our Ring alarm system telling me the front door is open. But I also get a notification that someone is at the Ding Dong. That's our name for a Ring video doorbell. As soon as I get a few hundred feet away, I get a notification that the August lock has locked automatically behind me. Now, I have to say that exiting the house gives me so many notifications that I had to start initiating my walk in the fitness app before I open the door. Otherwise, I just stand outside swiping and swiping and swiping notifications, trying to get to the start and open outdoor walk screen. When I get about a half mile away from my house, I get a notification that I've left some items behind. I have AirTags in my purse, backpack, suitcase, and the shoe bag I bring along when I travel. You might wonder why I don't exclude my own home from notifications on AirTags. Well, I did it that way originally, but then I recently arrived at Lindsay's house for the weekend, only to discover I'd forgotten my purse at home. Now, living without my purse for a weekend pretty much only meant bumming sunglasses off of people for a couple of days, but can you imagine if I'd left my backpack at home with my laptop and my iPad inside? It's too horrifying to consider. Hence, the AirTags now notify me constantly, even if I just walk away from my house. Now, every mile I complete with Tesla, I get a nice little notification telling me I've added another mile to the treads on my shoes. I like those notifications. It tells me that I've added another mile to the 11,940 miles I've walked so far since I got my Apple Watch. When I arrive home, the whole notification of the door thing kicks off again with the Ring doorbell and the Ring alarm and the August locks all singing a chorus announcing my grand arrival home. Just add one more little bit of entertainment to this momentous event. Our little Amazon Echo Dot in the kitchen chimes in, also notifying anyone nearby that someone is at the Ding Dong. You know, Steve, I did not refresh. Is this where I put in the sound?
I see it in the blog post, but I don't know.
Yeah, but is it right here that I did it, or was it earlier?
No, it's after the paragraph. Since I'm 100% spoiled.
Oh, so I have to keep going?
Yep. You know,
it didn't come in.
Didn't come in.
Oh, so it was much earlier.
No, I don't think you're there. Yeah, I don't think you're there.
I'm almost done.
Well,
in
it's
fact,
in the third to the last paragraph.
About...
Third to the last paragraph.
Oh, that's the chime. I thought we did one about the somebody's at the Ding Dong too.
No.
Oh, we didn't. Okay. Hang on, let me check. I think I did, but I never put it in there. Let me see. Oh, no, there it is. Okay. All right, so where was I?
So if you want, I could...
Someone is at the Ding Dong.
If you want, I could hit that when you get to that point in the video, or the...
No, I need to insert it in here.
All right.
And I'll play it. Now, where was I? Our little Amazon Echo Dot in the kitchen. I'm going to record that again. Just add one more. our little Amazon Echo Dot in the... Okay, apparently I can't say kitchen chime. It comes out chicken. Just to add one more little bit of entertainment to this momentous event, our little Amazon Echo Dot in the kitchen chimes in, also notifying anyone nearby that someone is at the ding-dong. I never told the Echo to do that. Somehow, after Amazon Bot Ring, the doorbell, and the Echo Dot... No. Emphasis on the wrong syllable. Somehow, after Amazon Bot Ring, the doorbell and the Echo Dot made a deal to share information. You know, I always meant to shake my fist at Amazon for this, but I gotta admit it's one of the quickest ways for us to know when someone is at the door. Mid-morning every month or so, I get a notification telling me that Tesla, the car company, not the dog, has updated the software in my car. I just got one of these recently, and I can't wait to see how much better full self-driving works. Probably not much better, but a nerd can hope. When my friend Pat stopped by just to drop something off, I got a notification on my phone that a new device had joined my network, sent courtesy of my Eero Mesh router. Pat and I stood at the door for quite a long time, and my August politely sent me a notification telling me that the front door had been left open for over 3 minutes. My MyQ garage door opener will do the same kind of notification, but it has to be more than 30 minutes. Both are really useful information in case you forgot to close a door. I usually work upstairs for a while longer before dinner, and by this time, Alistair Jenks is awake in New Zealand, because it's tomorrow there, and he's probably posted something awesome in our Delete Me channel in Slack. So of course I have notifications turned on to let me know. I have to say, if you only subscribe to one channel in our podcast Slack, I highly recommend Delete Me. Now, since I'm 100% spoiled, Steve makes me dinner every night. When it's about 5 minutes until dinner is ready, I get a notification. It's not from Telegram or messages. It's not via intercom on our HomePod minis. It's not from walkie-talkie on our watches. It's not even from our 1990s era home intercom system. I actually hear a chime in my room. Now, where should I put it, Steve? After the whole thing? I could stick it in right now.
I would say after the next sentence. I would say at the end of this paragraph, right where you have it.
Well,
because you refer to it being the jankiest, lowest tech notification, and I think that's a good intro.
Okay, fine. I think it would be funnier there, but all right. I'm in my room. The chime I hear is from a doorbell I found on the side of the road back in 2019. Steve has the corresponding doorbell button down in the kitchen. It is the jankiest, lowest tech notification in the house, and we both love it. Works every time. I bet you want to hear it, don't you? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. I bet you want to hear it, don't you?
Now that is janky and low tech if I've ever heard it.
It is. Isn't that awesome? We really do love that thing. Well, after dinner, I usually go up to work some more, or at least until it's time. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? Man, we love that thing. After dinner, I usually go back up to work some more, at least until it's time to watch Star Trek. If I buy something online, I always use my Apple Card. One of my favorite things about the Apple Card is that you instantly get a notification that a charge has gone against the card. Back in April, I told you about this and how it saved my friend Diane from some fraudulent charges. I always look at that notification, and I know that if some ne'er-do-well ever tries to use my card, I'll be able to jump right on it because of that notification. Tessa likes to do a perimeter patrol around the backyard after dark. If Steve lets her out the back door, of course, I get the notification from the Ring alarm, but at night she also sets off the Ring floodlight cam notification, the main backyard wise cam notification, and since she's very thorough, the side yard wise cam outdoor notification, and the Ring spotlight cam notification over by the trash cans. Finally, as we sit down to watch Star Trek, I eventually get a notification that I've closed all my fitness rings. And that is a day in the life of Allison's notifications. So you answer the question, horrifying or awesome?
I don't know. I think I'm horrified.
What was the overall reaction? Awesome. Thank you, Jill. All right. Sandy, about every other time I said backyard in that article, it was 2 words versus 1 yard. We went back and forth on which one it should be.
Backyard is 1 word, I believe.
No, it is not. Sandy and I had quite the discussion. So maybe when you went and edited, you changed it.
I may have, but I think it's 1. Well,
5 times.
so
no,
my dictionary
backyard
shows
is an
it as 1.
adjective. It's
What?
an adjective if it's 1.
Mine says the noun is one word. Now, maybe it's one of those optional things. You know, it's a guideline.
Hey, is the Wise outdoor cam image broken?
No, the squirrel stepped on it.
Oh, you know what? It's because backyard was in the image. Crap.
Yeah.
Yep, my search change all.
Uh-oh. You're changing all of my good work?
It. Yes. Shoot. Why is it still broken? I'm going to have to undo. Okay, there it is.
What dictionary are you guys using? Mine says backyard is 1 word. Noun. 1 word.
Only 1 word if it's an adjective, not when it's a noun.
That's not what... So the dictionaries have it wrong. At least the Apple Dictionary. Look it up, Sandy. Apple Dictionary.
Yeah, we did all this research. We discussed it, and it's
Look
not
it up,
completely...
everyone, right now, and you'll see 1 word.
Yes, I know, Steve. But we did more resources than that.
And they are?
Okay, Steve, you're not in charge of this. Sandy is in charge of this. Okay. Now I got it. I can't believe you changed that. And if you're going to do it consistently. You didn't do them all.
I thought I caught them.
Yes, both can work. That's correct. It's not completely incorrect to do it that way, but it's also not incorrect to do it the way Sandy and I did it. So,
unless it's an adjective.
Oh my gosh, leave me alone.
Here, I'll go fix it.
Send you to the woodshed. Okay. Time for my chapter mark to work. Copy link. Just broke again. It went bloop, bloop. Okay, let me see if it's still running. Now I have a way of stopping it. That's good to know. Nope, that's the wrong icon. I can't tell my icons apart anymore. I have too many. Wait a minute. Where'd it go? Running? Wait, where'd it go? No, it says it's not running. Okay, try it again. Okay, well, we're all looking at it. Nothing up my sleeve. Select here. It just double dipped already.
What are you
it
copying?
Went, doot, doot. Okay, I'm going to cancel.
Are you selecting a link?
Cancel all macros. Sorry?
Are you selecting a link somewhere when you do a copy?
Not yet. Let's try it one more time.
So you highlight the link and say copy. There you go.
It worked. I don't know why it's doing that. It's making me crazy. But okay.
Maybe it's very particular about how you select the link, like whether there's a line feed after it.
I was selecting it correctly. It's something else. All right. This one doesn't have many images. You're not going to have much to do. All right, here we go. Ooh, it's 5:53. Go. Go, go, go. I don't know if you've gotten onto the Markdown train yet, but I've been enjoying it more and more over the years since Bart first started nagging me to use it. Markdown is a plain text format that simplifies writing for the web and is easier to read than HTML. Now, you might be thinking this isn't interesting to you because you don't write a blog, but there are reasons to learn a smidge of Markdown even for normal people. Because Markdown is so popular amongst nerds, they've built Markdown support into lots of tools you use every day. You may want to make a comment on a blog or fill out a description in an online form, and it turns out you can use Markdown to format your text as bold, underlined, or italics, and to add bulleted and numbered lists. Markdown can do some really complex things like creating tables in a superhuman readable way, but you don't have to exercise all of the features of this little language to still get some benefits from it. One great place to experiment with Markdown is in our Slack at podfeet.com/Slack. because Slack also has Markdown support. I'm crazy about the messaging app Telegram, and I use Markdown in it all the time to format what I'm writing. While Markdown might seem like a fad, and its fans are sometimes almost cultish and zealots in their adoration, Markdown itself is something to consider because it's future-proof. That sounds like a bold statement, but since it's a plain text format, that statement is accurate. Using proprietary tools like Microsoft Word or Apple Pages creates text files that are not portable to other tools and can cause problems sharing across platforms. By the way, when you write an article for me to put on the blog at podfeet.com, I really hope you'll use plain text formats, because if you do it in Word or Pages, it's a hot mess and takes me a lot more work to make it work. Markdown is portable across platforms and all Markdown interpreters, and even if Markdown itself went out of favor, it's still human-readable plain text. Now, this isn't a lesson or a lecture on using Markdown, as there are far better instructional sites to do that. Search for Markdown Guide or Markdown Cheat Sheet, and you'll be rewarded with many sites that can help teach you. But I do think a smidge more information on how Markdown works would help, because I'm going to be telling you about a Markdown editor I like, and it won't make any sense if you don't know a couple of these things. Let's say you want to make some bold text. You simply put 2 asterisks on either side of the word or phrase you want to embolden. Want italics? Use 1 asterisk on either side. Don't like using asterisks? You can also use 1 or 2 underlines on either side for italics or bold. One of the things Markdown makes really easy is bulleted and numbered lists. If you simply type an asterisk and then a space, that starts a bulleted list that will be nicely indented and word wrapped without any faffing about and rulers and adding tabs and all that nonsense. If you type the number 1, then a period and a space, you'll start a similarly formatted numbered list. It's easy to read, it's easy to create, and it's future-proof because everyone can understand what you meant. It says the number right there. Now let's stop with why Markdown is cool, and I finally now get to tell you what I want to talk about today. One of the fun things about Markdown is that you can choose any Markdown editor you like. You can use a different one each day if it suits your fancy. It does suit my fancy to change applications more often than most people change their clothes, so I'd like to tell you about one that's currently delighting me. The app I'm excited about is called Macdown. It's a free and open source Markdown editor just for the Mac from Macdown. Oh man, how do I pronounce this? Macdown.uranusjunior.com. Not quite sure how that's pronounced. Anyway, there's a link in the show notes, of course. I suspect that there are people of 2 minds about Markdown editors. I'm betting that there are people who want a distraction-free environment, so they do not want to see the rendered results of their work while they're typing. Then there are people like me who like instant gratification and want to see if 2 asterisks on either side of a word really did make it bold. Macdown works for both kinds of people. When you first open Macdown, you'll get a dark pane on the left and a white pane on the right. The dark pane is the editor where you type, and the white pane shows, real-time, the pretty rendered version. If this level of distraction is too much for you, in the top right there's a little icon to hide the preview pane or hide the editor pane. Now, if you don't like the preview pane showing, you still get a lot of hints about the success of your Markdown writing in the editor pane. For example, a hash symbol followed by a space creates a heading level 1, which means big, bold text. In the editor pane, you do see the hash mark you typed, but everything you write on that line will also be big and bold like a heading 1 should look. In the preview pane, the hash symbol doesn't show, just your big, bold title. Likewise, if you use 2 asterisks on either side of a word, in the preview pane, the word will just be bold, but in the editor, it will be bold, and you'll also be able to see the asterisks that made it so. I'm fairly comfortable in Markdown for the simple stuff we've described, but if you're just learning, Markdown is there to help. Across the top, that is wrong. That is supposed to say Macdown is there to help. There to help. I knew I would do that at least once. Macdown. I'm fairly... Ooh, a simple online one. Oh, Ian, when did you jump in? I'm fairly comfortable in Markdown for the simple stuff, but if you're just learning, Macdown is there to help. Across the top of every window, you have a toolbar with the most common formatting options as icon. You've got buttons. Okay, let's say icons. I'm fairly comfortable in Markdown for the simple stuff, but if you're just learning, Macdown is there to help. Across the top of every window, you have a toolbar with the most common formatting options as icons. You've got buttons for bold, italics, and underline to start. Then there are 3 heading levels, H1, H2, and H3. It's pretty easy to type a number of hashes, but sometimes it's actually easier to use one of these icons if you've already got a heading level, but you want to switch to a different heading level. It seems counterintuitive, but it feels more efficient. When creating numbered lists, the icon in the toolbar starts it in one click instead of typing 3 characters, one, then a period, then a space. There are more tools to add less common formatting. You may not often use quotes in your writing, but they're not hard in Markdown. You simply type a greater than symbol, followed by a space, and go to town writing your quote. But if you don't do them often, remembering it's a greater than symbol might not be in the forefront of your brain. There's a nice quote button in the toolbar to put it in for you when you forget. Now, nerds like me love code blocks, and there are a couple of ways to create them in Markdown. Even if you're not a nerd, sometimes you might want to make a code block. The main thing that code blocks give you is a monospace font, but that can also have a different background to set it off from the rest of the text. If you're trying to ask for help with an error message in a log file that looks like gibberish to you, you'll help the people trying to help you if you use a monospace code block because it will be easier for them to read. With Markdown, you can create inline code blocks where you just want to type a few nerdy words in monospace font by clicking the button that has a less than greater than symbol. If you have text selected when you click that button, it will give you a backtick on either side of the text, which makes it look like inline code. The backtick, by the way, is the key right above the tab key on a US keyboard. Sometimes, like when you're dumping that pesky error log to someone, you'd like to set the whole mess as one giant code block. In Macdown, you can accomplish this by typing 4 spaces before pasting it in, or you can use the indent button in the upper left. I hadn't seen that technique before, so I wanted to make sure that was really, portable, because that's the whole point of this. It's got to work everywhere. But it does appear to be standard, because I opened my Markdown test file in the Markdown preview app Marked 2 by Brett Terpstra. And both the indent and the 4 spaces method definitely made it into a giant code block. I learned to make giant code blocks by putting 3 backticks before and after the code block text, but the button Markdown is probably an easier way to go. When I mentioned Brett's app Marked, I wanted to make sure to give you a link to his app so you can check it out on your own. For some reason, I can never remember how to make hot links in Markdown. I know you put square brackets around one piece and roundy brackets around the other piece, but I can never remember which one goes where. I was delighted that with Macdown, I didn't have to remember. I found Brett's website in my browser, and I copied the URL, and I came back to my writing in Macdown. I selected the words Marked 2 by Brett Terpstra, I hit the link icon in the toolbar, and boom, I had square brackets around the text and round brackets around the copied URL inside. I love that. Now, I tend to use HTML for my embedded images in my writing because I upload them as I go along, but if you want to link to an image that's already online, there's a button for that too. Now, if buttons aren't your jam and you'd rather use keyboard shortcuts, Macdown has you covered there too. The functionality of the formatting buttons is also available in the Format menu, and each of them has an associated keyboard shortcut. I was especially delighted to find that Macdown used Command-Shift-K to assign a link to some text, which is exactly how MarsEdit, my favorite blogging tool, adds links in Markdown. Macdown comes with a help file, which is, of course, written in Macdown. That made me nervous because what if I accidentally erased or changed something in the file and then hit my instinctive Command-S before I realized what I'd done and I forever lost the help file? Have no fear. I purposely added the word pancakes to the help file, saved it, closed it, and reopened it, and pancakes was gone. I wonder how they do that. Making tables in Markdown is so easy compared to doing it in HTML, but the syntax is another one that I simply can't remember. No problem. Open the Macdown help, do a search for tables, and they've got great examples of a couple of ways to make them, including how to make them right, center, and justified text in the cell contents. Since help is in Macdown, I can see how to type the table syntax on the left, and I can see what it should look like on the right. Speaking of search, Macdown also has search and replace, which I use all the time. Now, I said at the beginning that the editor of the pane on the left was dark and the preview pane was light. In Preferences, you can choose from many themes for the editor pane and rendering options for the preview pane. You can go light or dark and change the fonts and colors and more. Now, I don't want to bore you by going into all of the preferences, but there's some real nerdy options in there if you're that kind of woman. I also said at the beginning that I'm a big fan of an auto-updating preview pane. But you know what? If you're doing a lot of writing, that's the path to insanity. As I dog-fooded this article by writing it in Macdown, the jumping of the text in the preview pane drove me bananas. My first solution was to hide the preview pane. But there's also a checkbox in Preferences General to stop the preview pane from auto-updating. Once I turned that off, I liked Macdown a lot better. To see the changes, I simply hit Command-R to refresh the preview. That's a found a typo. C-G. There it is, missing the second E. By the way, that URL, actually, Steve, would you check and see whether the URL looks and works correctly for when I talked about Brett Terpstra and Marked? It should just say Brett Terpstra's Marked, and it should be a link. You should not see the URL.
All right.
Sorry, people, I'll have to go. I'm going as fast as I can.
I do see the link.
You do?
Yep.
Fred.
You want me to fix it?
No. That's really annoying because I talked about how great it worked in Macdown, and I think Macdown wrecked it. Here it is. Yeah. No, I don't think that was its fault. There we go. There we go. Okay, no, that was because of a copy paste I did. Refresh the preview. Refresh the preview. Where it is? Okay, there we go. I discovered a feature of Macdown completely by accident. I was writing in Macdown in my primary user account. Without closing the file in Macdown, I switched to another user account to do some work. Without even thinking, I opened the same document on that second account. I worked away, saved, and I went back to my primary account. Well, the document was still open, and like magic, all of the changes I made while in the other user account were still there. Not sure why that worked, because when do things like that just work? I gave Macdown a whirl with VoiceOver, and while all of the buttons were labeled and I could easily navigate around with VoiceOver, I'm not sure I'd see any advantages of using Macdown if I was visually impaired. It's an awful lot of work to select some text and then use the keyboard to get out of text editing, navigate to the toolbar, move between formatting groups, navigate down into one, and push a button, and then navigate back up out of the toolbar and back into editing text. The beauty of visual previews would not be an advantage, so I think I'd use a less fancy-pants Markdown editor instead. In case you're wondering, you can use TextEdit in plain text mode to create perfectly usable Markdown. I don't do all of my writing in Macdown, but it's found a home in my digital life when I'm recording with Bart. Bart writes the show notes ahead of time, and it's my job to listen, contribute to the conversation, and find typos and fix them while we're talking. I find that Macdown, with its instant gratification of the preview pane, is the right tool for the job. The one thing I'm not excited about with Macdown is that the open source project does not appear to be in active development. There have been a few updates a year and a half ago, but there are 487 issues identified with 34 pull requests waiting to be resolved. A pull request means someone has tried to fix the code because of a bug or to add an enhancement, but they have to request the admins of the project to approve the request before the contribution gets merged into the project. Unanswered pull requests are very sad. Macdown is a well-designed, enjoyable app to use, but if you find anything you don't like, you're probably never going to see it fixed unless you fork the code and do the fixing yourself. I still recommend it, especially for those that are just starting out with Markdown and want to get their feet wet. With its pretty preview pane and great documentation of how to use Markdown, I really like Macdown. Ian, I've tried to use that Markdown thing in Google Docs, and I find that to be a big pain in the backside. I thought you could only do it like you have to install a plugin to do it, and annoying as heck.
Hey, before it happens, do you have anything that's automatically going to get turned off at 6:10 or?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't run. I don't do that. Good guess. Good question though. That's what I thought, Ian. Have you done it yourself? I'm going to record my outro while we go, and maybe you want to start counting chapter marks, Steve?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is the outro, so no chapter mark ad, Kevin, but I have saved. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Don't forget to show up to the live chat room at podfeed.com/chat for WWDC tomorrow. Also, don't forget that you can email me at allison@podfeed.com. Maybe you've got a security question for Bart and you wanted him to answer it in his Ask Me Anything. You can send all of those to allison@podfeed.com. If you, let's see, you could follow me on Twitter at Podfeed. And if you want to join the conversation, I've mentioned it 28 times in this, but you can join our Slack community at podfeed.com/Slack. Good grief. I'm sorry. I know it's late, but that was too clumsy. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. And don't forget, tomorrow is WWDC. Hopefully, you're not listening to this after WWDC and you missed the opportunity to join us at podfeed.com/chat during the live WWDC, where you can talk to all of us. Did you know you can email me at allison@podfeed.com? That's where you can send your Ask Me Anything about security questions about Bart. If you have a question or a suggestion, you could just send it on over. You can also follow me on Twitter at Podfeed. If you want to join in the fun of the conversation, we've talked about it a bunch of times here. You can join our Slack community at podfeed.com/Slack. That's where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCastaways. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You can support the show at podfeed.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeed.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed.
All right.
Ooh,
So
my
I've
voice
got
is tired.
Yeah, I bet you are.
How many you got?
I've got 7, but there's a lot of ifs here. Did you?
I have 7 also.
Okay, so you did a chapter mark for Ask Me Anything, security.
Yeah, why don't you read off the ones you have? That might be
Okay,
easier.
so Chit Chat Across the Pond, 731. Ask Me Anything with security.
You don't
with
have to
Bart.
read a lot of it, just the beginning.
Update on PIA.
Yep.
$20 for MagSafe.
Yep.
Support the show. A
Yep.
Day in the Life and Macdown.
Uh-huh. Okay. Whew. That is a miracle. We'll
That
throw in
is.
an outro and give one quick listen and stay subscribed. Ooh, I'm gonna throw in an Easter egg for anybody who stays to the end. I'm gonna
you
put
gonna
the
throw in the
doorbell
doorbell?
again at the end. Yeah.
See if they
Is that good?
see if they have the patience to stick through the entire show, including the outro.
Yeah, let's see if anybody hears it. I
See if
hope
it-
they will
yeah.
tell me.
And no fair chat room because you know about it.
That makes me laugh. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. This was awesome. Say goodbye to Rose. Mwah, goodbye, Rose. Cut us off, Steve.
All right, stream getting cut off.